I feel like I should make this disclaimer at the front of the video, not the end. But I actually did put in a resume to System 76 to be a Rust engineer. Hello there, welcome to my workshop. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about something called Linux. So about a month or two ago, maybe more than that, Linus and Luke from Linus Tech Tips and Floatplane respectively each challenged each other to use Linux on their home computers for one whole month. The big reason they did this is because they wanted to show how far along Linux has come in being a viable replacement for Windows in terms of gaming. This is an interesting challenge because there's a lot of people who are into gaming that don't really trust Microsoft when it comes to either security or privacy, and they're really wanting that alternative to use. In the midst of this challenge, though, something pretty peculiar happened on Linus's side. Now, Linus had claimed that he was trying to approach this from the viewpoint of an average user or someone who didn't know a whole lot about tech. But this is kind of a fallacy from his side because he's actually used Linux before when reviewing things like the System 76 Sthelio desktops. And also, he isn't really a typical consumer because he has pretty advanced hardware and a pretty unique setup and would come with challenges that a normal person wouldn't have, namely his network card or his sound card, I believe it was. And he spent a good part of the first video talking about how terrible the experience was trying to just Google what the best gaming distro is for Linux, distro being short for distribution. And while I feel like he's right, I also don't think that most people nowadays will really want to do just that. Because most people will probably just want to go straight for Ubuntu because it's the most popular one. But what he ended up picking was a distribution by System 76 called Pop OS. And it's one that another member of Linus Tech Tips, Anthony, usually touts as being the best for new users in gaming. They actually did a video where Pop OS went head-to-head with Windows from a fresh install to gaming setup where Pop OS beat Windows. But where the big controversy comes from is from when Linus went to go install Steam on Pop OS on his desktop. When he tried to install Steam from the Pop Shop, he got met with an error message saying that they couldn't install it on the system. What he did after that is he opened up a command line and entered the command to install Steam from the standard user repositories. What happened there is that it told him again that, hey, this is going to break your system, you can't do this, but if you want to, you need to type out the full phrase, yes, I want to do this to my system. And without thinking about it, he typed it and then got all surprised Pikachu face when his system broke. And he can go on and on all he wants about how this is bad user experience, but he's Linus Sebastian. He should know what the hell that means. He should know what he's doing. He should know better than to just breeze through and not read any warning messages. And when you say he's trying to do this from the perspective of an average consumer, the average computer user would not want to take that risk of bricking their system, even if it's to install Steam, like the most commonly used package by any gamer out there. And what happened immediately after that was that he decided to give up on Pop OS and move over to Manjaro, which, if we're being honest, seems like a pretty reasonable thing for an average person to do. It's something I know that I've done a couple times whenever I've messed up a system and just didn't want to fix it. I've even done such similar stupid stuff as wanting to use Manjaro over Linux Mint for a period of time just because I preferred Manjaro's distribution logo, even though getting the software I needed set up was much easier on Linux Mint. Users can be dumb sometimes. And what followed after this was that a lot of viewers of the Linus Tech Tips channel went to Twitter and started actually harassing the team at System 76 for this bug. And the backlash from it was really taken out of hand. It was gotten so bad that the lead developer, Jeremy Salter, decided to put his Twitter on private just so he wouldn't get harassed anymore from this issue. And another developer from System 76, Michael Murphy, even explained that when the issue happened, not after it went live on YouTube, but when it happened, the issue was fixed literally the next day, but they were still getting hate for it weeks after the whole thing went down. But the response from System 76 is part of one of the reasons why I still think they're one of the best distributions for new users. The head developer, Jeremy, went on Twitter and gave a very detailed breakdown of what the issue actually was and what caused it and how it was immediately fixed. I tried to look that thread up so I could have screenshots here, but it seems like either he took it down because of the backlash, or it's privated, whatever. Or it's privated, or who knows. But a very rough, simplified explanation was that it was Steam relied on a 32-bit software library to install and run properly, but that specific library wasn't available in the repositories at the time, and because of some dependency loop trying to get it ended up uninstalling the graphical user interface of the whole distribution. And if you follow Anthony from Linus Tech Tips, he made a very strong point to say, hey, at least System 76 listened to the issue and had it fixed within a day. And they didn't just fix the missing library issue, they've also added a band-aid patch to prevent any user from doing such actions like breaking their computer from the command line. They've also started the work of creating a more robust system of preventing this and directly upstreaming it to Debian, which is what Ubuntu is based off of. And it's interesting that most people overlook this because, if a bug like this came up in Windows, how long would it take Microsoft to actually fix it? With Pop! OS being open source, System 76 didn't even have to fix it. A community member could have suggested the fix and it would have been patched through maybe even quicker. And it's also another thing I should highlight from System 76 is that Pop! OS's bug fixes and improvements come out scary fast. The current Pop! OS beta, which I'm running on this laptop, is already running a kernel that's newer than even Arch Linux. And so far, it's been stable for me. Granted, it's a beta and I'm bound to run into some bugs here and there. And sort of a tangential thought, I came across a Reddit comment when I was looking up this whole mess, and it said something along the lines of, don't make your users beta testers. Which is just hilarious to me because that's exactly what even Microsoft is doing. If you go look up a YouTuber by the name of Barnacules Nerdgasm, he was a Microsoft employee in their Windows test team for decades. In fact, he was one of the people who tested and shipped out Windows XP. And he got laid off around 2015, right about the time Windows 10 came out. And if you go watch his video where he talks about getting laid off, he says that Microsoft laid off all of the test teams in favor of having the end users discover and report bugs. And that the problem with this is that when the users report bugs and they tell Microsoft about it, it takes them a while, unless you're on the Incender builds, to get them really patched and sent through. But wrapping up on this whole thing, it's really nice to see that Luke and Linus are putting a spotlight on Linux. For those who want to leave Windows in the context of gaming, Linux is ultimately a good option. And this whole challenge that they're doing is also good because it's going to show game developers that Linux is a platform that they need to start taking more serious. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't be using Linux just because it's not Windows or Mac OS. Computers are ultimately tools, and you should be using the software on it that best accomplishes the job you're setting out to do, whether that be building a plane or pretending to fly a plane in a video game. I personally still use Pop! OS, mainly because I really do enjoy the development team and the whole team at System 76 behind the scenes. They all seem like real great people, and they're actually really approachable if you just take the time to be a decent human being about it. And in almost a decade of using Linux, it's probably one of the most stable Linux distributions I've ever used, even on the beta channel. I feel like I should make this disclaimer at the front of the video, not the end. But I actually did put in a resume to System 76 to be a Rust engineer. They never really called me back or emailed me back, so I don't know if I'm still being considered or what the thing is there. So what did you think about this whole controversy? Leave a comment and let me know what your thoughts are. Make sure you like it and get subscribed if you want to see more. And also, just tell me how you feel about this whole vlog. If you like hearing about this content or if there's some other sort of content you want to hear, just let me know. Thanks for watching. But at the end of the day, you really shouldn't be using Windows. You shouldn't be using Windows, period.